Well, as far as my upbringing, it was, pretty typical working class, middle class family. Both my mother and my father's families are from Eastern Kentucky. My father's is from Ashland, and then my mother's is from down around further south, eastern in the Pikeville, um, oil and Pikeville, Hazard, that kind of area. And it's the that Appalachian culture, um, where a lot of the immigrants went when they first got here because of all the work with the railroads and things. Um, my great grandfather immigrated from Italy and went there to work on the railroad, and that was how my father's family came to be there. And I just grew up in a kind of a small town in Ohio, in the northwest part of the state called Lima. Um, you know, it at one time was the largest oil and gas field in the world back in the 1800s, and then they were part of that Rust Belt. They were known for manufacturing trains and things like that, but all of that started to die out, and the economy started to die, and so did the city itself a little bit. As I was growing up, population started to drop. But and I always tell everybody that I believe I'm now probably the most famous person from Lima, Ohio, because I outlasted Phyllis Diller and Hugh Downs. They passed away, so just through attrition, I've become the most famous person, I think, out of the town right now. And I grew up in that town, and back then, when it was regional, we had we had the Ed Farhat's territory was in part of Ohio, and it was all of Ohio and Michigan, and he would run but by his standards, Lima, Ohio was like a spot show, even though he'd draw probably 2,000 people there at the local ice arena. And I grew up watching that on TV, and then the territory went under. There really wasn't any wrestling in that area for several years, until I believe around 1976, maybe no, it was probably 77, was the advent of cable television. You guys all live in a world where you can't fathom that, but at that time, TV's only got 13 channels. Even when you got cable television, you only got 13 channels. And but part of that, getting that cable television, was getting TBS, Turner Broadcasting, and Saturday nights at 6 o'clock, Georgia Championship Wrestling came on, and that was it. I was 14, and I made the decision right then and there. I was like, that this is what I'm going to do. 3, 2, 1.